worth 200,000. Surely you have to sell to get your profit, true or not? No. If it's worth 200,000, then that's what it's worth. You've made 100,000 profit. A way of looking at it is to imagine that every night at midnight you sell your entire portfolio of everything, stocks, properties, you name it. So you sell your $200,000 property for $200,000. You have made your 100,000 profit at that stage, would you agree? And then a 1 minute plus is to imagine that every night at midnight you sell your entire portfolio of midnight, you buy it back for 200,000. If you wouldn't buy it back for 200,000, then you shouldn't hang on to it in the first place. You should get rid of it. So every night you sell your portfolio for what it's worth and buy it back for that same value. You make your profit the day it goes up in value. There's no need to sell. So a final point I want to share on real estate is, imagine you want to be a share market investor, and many of you will be. How do you know which shares, which sector, which companies are going to go up in the future? How do you know that? Or are you guessing? My contention is you never know. You're just guessing. You're gambling and guessing that you know better than the market average which shares are going to do well. And a couple of years ago, word was out that technology shares were going to do well. Buy technology stock, they're going to go up. It's no longer bricks and mortar, it's clicks and whatever rhyme with it. Well, we all know what happened to that, right? The dot-coms became dot-bombs, as it's called, and a lot of people lost out. But no one predicted that, or very few. If it's so easy to know what's going to happen in the stock market, then surely people would profit from all those trends. So I want to show you my impression of the stock market. The stock market goes something like this. It fluctuates wildly up and down as time goes on. That's the market on average. If you take any one share in isolation, it may fluctuate even more wildly. That's why you get shares that go up by 1,200% in 1 year, or down by 600% the next year. You get shares that go down so far, the company goes bankrupt, right? Does that happen? Of course it happens. By the way, are there any properties that just go bankrupt in the same sense? They're worth nothing? Absolutely nothing. They just fall. Well, it happens a lot. In fact, the share market indices, the S&P 500 is the top 500 shares. It doesn't take into account the hundreds that go bankrupt every year. In New Zealand, it's the NZSE 40, the top 40. Here it's also 500, right? They're the top shares. Imagine if we looked at the top 500 properties in Australia. How do you think they would perform? So stocks vary very wildly. There's a standard deviation, if you like, is very high. When you compare that with real estate tends to fluctuate very gently. And it does go down a little bit sometimes, but generally each peak is higher than the previous peak. Each trough is higher than the previous trough. And when you look at any one property relative to that average, it tends to fluctuate very gently around that. There's not much difference between any one property and the average. Now that is properties in general. I have a question for you. Do you think it would be possible to beat the average in real estate? We've already agreed you can't beat the average with shares. Everyone tries. Mutual fund managers will try, but they don't really succeed. So if I could show you a foolproof method of beating the average in real estate, of doing, say, twice as good as average in Australia, would that interest you? Would it be worth something to you? I mean, let me ask this question. Would it be worth $10,000 to you to know how to beat the average with a very high degree of certainty in real estate in Australia? Who would say it would be worth 10 grand? Oh, thank you. Well, you should see me first before I continue. Who thinks it would be worth 5,000? Fewer people. You guys are weird. Who thinks it would be worth $1,000? Quite a few. So, who would like to hear right now for nothing? Okay. Should have started with $10,000. Where was I going to get that from? Can I put it on my credit card? So I'm going to tell you, it is so simple. When I tell you, you say, oh, is that all? But I want you to think hard about it, because it's not just it's that all, it's real. Firstly, let's talk about averages. Do you know that in Australia, half the population is of below average intelligence? Some of you are scowling at me saying, even if that's true, why admit it in public school? Half the population is of below average because the other half is of above average intelligence. That's how an average comes about. You take everyone and average them out, all right? So in any indicator, half is below average, the other half is above average. places where real estate is growing at above the national average. The Gold Coast, right? That's one. Queensland in general. Queensland as a state has a higher growth than the national average. Then there are pockets within Queensland which are growing at way above the state average. That southeastern corner, encompassing the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast, and even parts of Brisbane, has phenomenal growth. Has it been like that just for the last week, or has it been like that for a number of years now? A number of years, right? Are there other parts of Australia growing at above the average? What about parts of Sydney? Absolutely, growing above average. What about parts of Melbourne? Right. Let me take it out some. Yeah, here's something saying. Imagine you want to invest in America. You haven't really been to America. You don't know about much of what goes on there. But I tell you this fact. Last year, the number one city in the United States for capital growth and population growth was Las Vegas, Nevada. The second one was Phoenix, Arizona. The year before that, the year 2000, numbers 1 and 2 were Las Vegas and Phoenix. The year prior to that, 1999, Las Vegas and Phoenix. Before that, Las Vegas and Phoenix. Before that, Las Vegas and Phoenix. 1996, Las Vegas and Phoenix. Would you have some certainty that for this year, it might also be Las Vegas and Phoenix? Would you bet your life on it? No. Would I bet my life on it? No. Would you bet my life on it? But if they're not numbers 1 and 2, they're likely to be 1 and 3, or 2 and 3, or 3 and 2, or 3 and 1. They're going to be up there. Of the 3,000 cities in the United States above a certain size, they're likely to be in the top cluster, right? Same in New Zealand. Auckland is not the capital. It has the largest population. It's growing at double the national average. At the other end of the country, you've got Invercargill. Between the last two censuses, there was a population decline of 6%. Invercargill is as close to the Antarctica as you can get without leaving the Western world. A lot of people sell their 3-bedroom home in Auckland for $700,000, shift down to Invercargill, buy a bigger, better home for $90,000, put the difference in the bank and spend the interest money on the heating bill. However, they don't tend to do well because the values aren't going up very fast. So the first way to beat the average is using what I call geography. Beating the average. Number one, we'll call it geography. Just buy in the right place. Now, if that was all there was to it, that would be pretty exciting, but I'm going to give you another way of beating the average. And I call it the demographics. The baby boomers, the people who were born between 1946 and 1964, they're now starting to reach retirement age. In the United States, someone turns 50 every 17 seconds. That means in Australia it'll be about every 4 or 5 minutes. There's going to be a hugely increasing need for retirement homes, rest homes, assisted living facilities, golf courses, all those things. If you can cater for that sector that's growing in size, you will beat the national average again because there's a growing demand for that. Makes sense, right? There's a third way, and that is, I simply call it by the seaside. When we were all kids and we had holidays, where did we all tend to go? Well, we went to the seaside. Guess where it's all over the world. In France, where are the holiday resort places? On the Côte d'Azur, on the Mediterranean coast. Same for the Greek islands, anywhere you can live. In England, Brighton was by the seaside. Same here in Australia. So before, we used to live in cities because we had to live where the work was. But as we get more telecommuting, and as this burgeoning mass of retiring people can live anywhere, more and more people want to live by the sea. So if you buy by the sea, it will have a growth rate of higher than the national average. And it's because dinky little towns inland where steel mills that have gone into decline and all that sort of thing are located, they have a declining value. So any one of these in themselves can give you a greater than average growth rate. Imagine if you compound them. Imagine if you had one that met all 3 criteria. I lived in La Jolla for a while. La Jolla is a very ritzy suburb near San Diego. Now, for those of you who may have been there, there's a seal colony on the beach. As you leave the seal colony and cross the road, you come to a retirement home. This retirement home caters to the right demographics. Geographically, it's in La Jolla, one of the best suburbs in the United States, and it's by the sea. Do you think that that retirement home may have a growth rate higher than the average in the States? It's easy, folks. Same applies here in Sydney. If you've got a house with a view of the sea, it's worth more than one that doesn't have that. If it's got access to the sea, is it worth more? Right. these things sound so simple that when you say them, you think you're kidding yourself. So there are many aspects like that that we can cover where we talk about things you can do to increase your chances of making a lot of money. We spoke of depreciation, and I said I'd come back to that. I want to highlight one other thing. People get confused about depreciation. They think, well, as soon as the government finds out that there's this loophole, they're going to close it. Nothing could be further from the truth. Imagine we have a computer. Do computers go up in value or down, by the way? Down. So let's start with a computer that you buy for, say, $10,000. You pay $10,000 for it. Over time, its value goes down to $6,000. Is that reasonable? Yeah, that's about 3 weeks we're talking about there. They never go up anyway. Now, the government, in its wisdom, allows you to depreciate that computer. Why do they do that? They want Australia to be competitive with the rest of the world, so they say, well, since you've spent that money on it, we'll allow a deduction for its probable decline in value, its depreciation. Now, how does it work? Imagine that you end up selling the computer, but you only get $5,000 for it. That means they'll allow you to depreciate another $1,000 because you sold it for less than the book value. Conversely, if you manage to get $7,000 for it, then you have to pay what's called depreciation recovered tax, because you claimed it as if it was worth $6,000, but it was actually worth $7,000. So far, so good, right? Well, let's compare that with a piece of real estate. I'm not going to talk about a house. And let's say you buy it for $100,000. And in Australia, we're going to have to add, let's assume it's new, because when you buy a second-hand property, you get a written-down book value. So here's a new house, and you depreciate it down to $60,000. Same thing applies. If you sell it and you can only get $50,000 for it, then you could claim another $10,000 depreciation. On the other hand, if you sell it and get $70,000 for it, then you have to pay depreciation recovered tax. But there are two important differences that I want to highlight between the computer and the house. Firstly, in the case of the computer, did you pay $10,000 for it? Yes, you have to pay for the computer. And secondly, did it or did it not go down in value? It went down. When it comes to real estate, so the purchase price was $100,000. Did you pay $100,000 for it? What if you only paid $10,000 for it? Can you only depreciate 10% of it because you only got 10% cash in there? No, you can depreciate the whole thing. Even if you put zero money down on it, you just signed a contract to get it. 100% finance. Can you still depreciate it? Yes, you claim that depreciation money. You get that benefit from the government. Now, did it go down in value? No, it's gone up in value. In all probability, it's gone up through the roof. Might be worth $200,000 or $300,000 now. Even though it goes up in value, you can still claim the depreciation. Right? And you only have to repay it, depreciation recovered tax, if you're silly enough to sell. If you never sell, you never have to pay it. It's another compelling reason not to sell. So a lot of this takes time to sink in. I know I can spend a lot of time giving you the facts and figures of how real estate works, and my fear is that you still wouldn't do it. You would walk away thinking, well, that made sense, but you won't do it. So I need to get into your core thinking. I need to share a story with you about what happened to a girlfriend of mine. I had a girlfriend, and her birthday came up, and I thought, well, let me treat her on her birthday. So on the day when it finally arrived, I said, I've hidden your present somewhere in the house. And she got all excited about it and went out looking for it until she found it. Then she came to me and thanked me profusely, and we proceeded to have breakfast. And then after breakfast I said, you know what? I said there was one hidden, but there are actually 3 hidden in the house in total. You've only found the first one. So you can imagine, she got all excited again and went out looking for the other 2 gifts. And she kept on looking till she found them. And when she found them, she came to me and thanked me profusely. And then later on in the day, I said, you know what? I said there were 3, but there were actually 10. And she said, you're kidding me. I said, I'm serious. So she got all excited, and now she went looking for each present. She kept on looking and looking. And as she looked longer and longer, the remaining presents became harder and harder to find. Of course, when I hid them, I didn't know which ones would be easy or which ones would be difficult. But she persevered until she found all 10. Now, did she have reason to believe that there may have been more presents? She might have had, but she didn't look for any more. And the reason I'm telling you this story is for the following point that I want to make. When you know there is one deal out there, one present, you will look for it. And then you'll stop looking. When you know there are a total of 3, you will look for them, but then you'll stop looking. When you know there are 10, you will look for them, but then you stop looking. And the problem that you guys face is you don't know how many good deals there are out there. Unless I go out tomorrow and figure out how many good deals there are and phone you each individual and say, well, there are exactly 28.5 great deals out there in Sydney. I mean, you'd look then, right? You'd want to find them. But you don't know how many there are, so the temptation is not to look. And sometimes you just don't know when you're sitting on a gold mine. In fact, sometimes you're sitting on a gold mine and you don't know it. In fact, one of you is. Taped underneath one of your seats is a $50 bill, but before you look, here are the rules. The person who gets the money won't be the one whose seat it's under necessarily. It'll be the person who finds it. So I want you to find that money, and when you do find it, sing out and let me know you've got it. Anyone found it? You got it. Oh, congratulations. Big cheer. Let's give her a round of applause. Could you stand up for a moment, please? Now, tell me, why didn't you look under your seat earlier? It's been there all evening. You had no reason to believe it's there. Well, thank you. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you. Is Shalom in the room, please? Shalom, could you step down? And I think you know where you might have to go. Because the thing that really amuses me is I told the story about my girlfriend. I said, when you know there's one, you will look for one. And when you know there are more, you will look for more. So Shalom, would you mind going into where you need to go? Retrieve it. Could you hand it over to Shalom, please? Shalom, that is yours. Shalom always puts the money away for me. And the point I want to make, I want you to think hard about this. Is I just told the story. I used to tell the story about the girlfriend and the 10 gifts at the beginning of a weekend event, and then at the end of the weekend, I do this exercise to say there's money under the chairs, and as soon as the first person finds their note, everyone else stops looking, because you're deluding yourselves into thinking that there's only one. And as time went on, I could sandwich those two together. Now I do them back to back. I tell the story about the girlfriend. I say, in fact, one of you might be sitting on a gold mine. One of you is. Underneath a chair, there is the money. As soon as someone shouted, oh, I got it, the rest of you stopped looking. There are 5 more $50 notes hidden under your seat. I want you to think hard about this, because you see, the way we react to these exercises in a classroom style situation, they are exactly the way that you react in real life. If you're not happy with your financial circumstances, ask yourself, could it be because of the way you're reacting to these sorts of things? Someone tells you there's a great deal out there in Sydney. You're in one of the hot spots in Australia. There's more growth here than just about any other place you can think of. What is stopping you from going out to look at these things? Make a bit of money for yourself. They say it's better to give than to receive. Well, that's true. But if you're going to give, you might as well give a lot. And to give a lot, you need to have a lot. Right? Money can't buy you happiness. That's true. But hey, I'd rather try and Rolls Royce than a Mini. Or if you're going to be unhappy anyway, you might as well be rich and unhappy rather than poor and unhappy. Money can't buy you happiness, but hey, it buys the next best thing. You know, for every argument you can come up with to say it's better to be pious and poverty-stricken, there is a counter theory. Your poverty will help no one. Your wealth can help many, many people. Perhaps your mission in life is to figure out how you might help more people. I get asked to speak in a lot of places. I get asked to speak on cruise boats, which is a real pain, because I might get to speak for half a day, but the whole cruise lasts a week. But anyway, I was on one of these cruises going up to Alaska, and this woman came to me and asked me to read her diary. Now, I don't know how you guys think about it, but when someone asks you to do that, I think, you know, it's a bit tenuous. So I said, no, I really wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. She said, no, I insist. So with a lot of reluctance, I took the diary and read the first entry, and on Monday, the entry read, Dear Diary, tonight the captain invited me to dine at the captain's table for dinner. It was such an honor that I was thoroughly flustered. turned the page. And there on Tuesday was the entry, "Dear Diary, tonight the captain invited me back to the captain's cabin for after-dinner drinks. It was really exciting." And then on Wednesday I turned the page and there was the entry, "Dear Diary, tonight the captain made suggestions unbecoming of an officer or a gentleman." And I turned the page and there on Thursday was the entry, "Dear Diary, tonight the captain threatened that unless I succumb to his advances he shall sink the entire ship." And I turned the page and there on Friday was the entry, "Dear Diary, today I saved the lives of 1,500 passengers." And it's just a story, but the point is this: sometimes you have to do what you have to do. For me, that means going out to buy a piece of real estate. If you do nothing else from tonight, buy a piece of property. You'll curse me in 10 years' time, only because I didn't tell you to buy two. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience. Thank you. Thank you.